Thailand, this trip turned out very differently than I expected.
Every city has a story, every journey leaves a mark. Welcome to Night Wolf Travels, we guide you through the dark.
After what felt like forever traveling, I finally landed in Bangkok. No sleep, lame food. My body cock all over the place. The humidity hit me the moment I stepped outside the airport. I was still wearing tracky bottoms from home, which, looking back, was not one of my better decisions. Island. I would already arranged a taxi with a company I've used before, so there was none of the usual messing about. Just throw the luggage in the back and head towards Nana. As we got closer, that familiar feeling started creeping in. The neon, the traffic, the organized chaos. I had been looking forward to this trip for months. Part of me could not wait to get stuck in. Another part of me was wondering if Thailand would still have the same magic it always seemed to have. Either way, I was about to find out. I was back. For my first night, I checked into the Grande Hotel on Soi 4. This was actually my second stay here. It is probably my favorite hotel in Nana so far. The rooms are a good size. Most have balconies. It is surprisingly quiet. The location is spot on. You are close enough to all madness without feeling like you are sleeping in the middle of it. If you would like a closer look, I have already done a full review of this hotel on the channel. If you are new around here and enjoy this sort of Thailand chaos, consider subscribing. I've got hotel reviews, nightlife adventures, and plenty of questionable decisions still to come on this trip. But for now, I was not planning on spending much time in the room. A quick shower later, Nada was back out on Soi 4. Now I need to paint the picture here. I was absolutely knackered, running on excitement more than energy. I would traveled halfway around the world, and my body was still trying to figure out what time zone it was in. So naturally I decided the sensible thing to do was have a couple of Red Bulls and my first beer of the trip. Better still, mix them together. Half beer, half Red Bull. What we call a turbo shandy. Questionable logic perhaps, but in these situations, it gives you a false sense that you have still got some life left in you. The plan was simple. A few bars, a few beers, wander around Nana Plaza, ease myself into the trip. At least that was the plan. Nana Plaza was still Nana Plaza. The music, the lights, the ladies trying to persuade you into bars. The feeling that almost anything could happen, but something felt a little different this time. New touching rules had come in since my last visit. Nothing dramatic. It just felt like someone had quietly turned the fun dial down a notch or two. Still entertaining, still busy, still Nana, just slightly different. Everyone chasing their own version of a good night. For a brief period, I thought the turbo shandy had worked its magic. It had not. My body had other ideas. The reality was I would traveled halfway around the world on very little sleep, and I was running on fumes. For once, common sense got the better of me, or maybe I simply did not have a choice. Either way, I called it a night and head back to the hotel alone. No great story, no dramatic ending, just a tired traveler admitting defeat. Maybe I am getting old, or maybe flying halfway around the world and trying to survive on turbo shandies is not the recovery strategy it used to be. Back in my room, I stepped out onto the balcony for a few minutes before bed. Below me, Bangkok was still wide awake. Traffic rolled past. Music drifted through the night air. People were still out there chasing whatever version of happiness they would chosen for the evening. As for me, tomorrow, I was heading to Koh Samui, the island part of the adventure, the beaches, the bars, the unexpected, and knowing Thailand, probably a few surprises as well. The next morning, I woke up alone. I still felt a bit rough, not hungover, just tired. The kind of tired where you know you have slept but feel like you are on catch-up. Still, there was no time to waste. Today I was heading to Koh Samui, but first, breakfast. and after the previous day's diet of plain food, Red Bull and beer, I felt like my body deserved something vaguely nutritious. Just next door to the hotel was a place I'd eaten before. Nice atmosphere, air conditioning, good views overlooking Soi Fall, and perhaps more important, decent food. I ordered a spinach omelette, orange juice, and a cappuccino, nothing fancy. But after the previous 24 hours, it felt exactly what I needed. As I sat there watching people coming and going below, I could not help thinking about the adventure to come. At this point, it all lay ahead of me. Anything could happen. Good decisions, bad decisions. Thailand tends to offer both in equal measure. For long, it was time to head back to the airport. I was still feeling a bit wired from the day before, still not entirely convinced my body knew what country it was in, but I was ready to get moving. The flight to Koh Samui is a short one, barely enough time to settle into your seat before you are preparing to land again. But the moment I arrived, I knew this place felt different. The airport alone told me that. Most airports are pretty much the same. Grey, functional, somewhere you pass through rather than somewhere you remember. Koh Samui Airport could not be more different. Open air, palm trees, little wooden buildings. It actually reminded me a bit of Bali, only nicer. There was something about it that immediately put me in holiday mode. That feeling lasted right up until I got bundled into a packed minibus transfer. 1 minute you are living the island dream. The next you are wedged between strangers crammed into minibus, with a rude driver barking orders. Eventually we arrived in Chaweng, my first proper look at the place, and straight away I liked it. Busy. And as I headed towards the beach, I had a feeling I would made the right choice coming here. One thing became obvious very quickly. Weed shops, everywhere. Some of them were painted bright yellow and blue, and honestly looked more like toy shops than cannabis dispensaries. I half expected one of them to be selling Lego. There seemed to be a new one every 20 yards. The good news, you are into that sort of thing, is the prices seemed cheaper than Bangkok. Probably because there was so much competition. As I continued exploring, another thing started to surprise me, the nightlife. Maybe a couple of busy streets. What I was not expecting was just how much was packed into Chaweng. The deeper I explored, the more places I found. Ear bars, live music venues, sports bars, weed bars, tourist bars. Bars that could not quite decide what they wanted to be. There was far more going on than I would imagined. Most evenings I found myself starting around Pineapple, a bar and weed shop hybrid that became a bit of a regular haunt for me during my time in Chaweng. From there I would normally drift towards Africa Bar and a triangle of bars nearby. One drink becoming two becoming several. You know how these things go. One thing I noticed quite quickly was that Chaweng felt very different to Pattaya. Pattaya knows exactly what it is. Chaweng felt more mixed. You had the nightlife, the working girls, the beer bars, but mixed in amongst all that were couples, backpackers, families, and plenty of Western tourists who could look like they were having a completely different holiday to me. Sometimes I would be sat chatting with one of the Thai ladies in a bar, and I would notice people watching, particularly some of the Western women. Now maybe it was my imagination, but a few times it genuinely felt like they were watching some sort of nature documentary unfold in front of them, observing from a safe distance, trying to figure out exactly what kind of animal they were looking at. I also noticed the occasional look when I would leave a bar with a Thai lady, not from everyone, but enough to notice. Western woman possibly not liking, not having all the attention. I just noticed a couple of judgmental looks of a couple, or maybe I smoked too much that day. Chaweng is a different beast to Pattaya. In Chaweng, it is not as normal as in Pattaya, and the mix of tourists creates a new habitat. What I did know was that I was enjoying myself. Chaweng had completely exceeded my expectations. It was more beautiful than Pattaya, more relaxed than Bangkok, and yet still had enough nightlife to keep things interesting. I was not expecting that, but I was glad of the surprise. And speaking of interesting, It was not long before I met the first lady who would leave an impression on this trip. I ended up staying at a place just off the main strip in Chaweng, the Evergreen. Nothing flashy, nothing over the top, just one of those spots that quietly does everything right. Clean room, good location. Close enough to the beach that you are back in the chaos within minutes, but far enough away to actually sleep at night. Link at the top of the screen if you want to check out the review. Now back to the story. The first night in Chaweng actually started long before the sun went down. Earlier that day, I would arrange to meet a freelancer through Thai Friendly. When she arrived, it did not take long to understand why she was probably in demand. She was stunning, beautiful face, amazing body, and probably the best looking lady I met during the entire trip. There was much of a connection beyond that, but not every Thailand encounter needs to turn into a love story. Sometimes it is just a straightforward business arrangement. Everybody knows the score, and that is exactly what this was. Anyhow, it was my first of many afternoon delights. Later that evening, I headed back out into Chaweng, starting at Pineapple as per usual. Back to the bars, back to seeing what this island had on offer. One thing I could not get over was how much nightlife there actually was. I would come to Samui expecting beaches, cocktails, a few bars. What I found was something much bigger. Every corner seemed to reveal another venue, another bar, another place to stop for just one beer, a phrase that rarely survives contact with reality. The funny thing is, despite the excellent start to the day, nothing much happened that night. I drifted between bars, had a few drinks, people watched, enjoyed the atmosphere, and eventually headed back to the hotel alone. No drama, no late-night adventure. Just another reminder that Thailand rarely follows the script you expect. The next morning was not exactly an early one. By the time I surfaced, it was closer to lunchtime than breakfast, so I headed down to the Evergreen restaurant by the beach, ordered some food, grabbed a drink, and watched the world go by. One thing I really liked about Chaweng was the balance. You could have a lively night out, then spend the next day sitting by the sea doing absolutely nothing. The pace felt different here, more relaxed, less intense, and I was starting to understand why so many people keep coming back. As the afternoon drifted by, I found myself looking forward to another night out. Not because I had any great plan, more because Chaweng kept surprising me. Every time I thought I would seen it all, I would discover another street, another bar, another corner I had not explored yet. That evening I found myself around Soy Reggae. And this is where the trip took a slightly different turn. I met another lady. She probably was not as hot as the freelancer from the previous afternoon, but there was something else there. Warmth, conversation, personality. The sort of girl where an hour turns into 3 and you do not really notice. And before long, we ended up spending the night together. Now, this is also where I made my first mistake of the trip. I got comfortable. I ignored my own rules, and I did not wrap it up. I went in unsheathed. Looking back, it was not wise, as you will find out later in the story. At the time, I convinced myself that I will get away with famous last words. The next morning arrived far quicker than I would have liked. I said goodbye, no time for round 2, grabbed my bags, and headed towards the ferry pier, or at least that was the plan. What I did not know yet was that I had several hours to kill before departure, and ahead of me lay the full moon party. Thing I would traveled all this way to see. Whether it was going to live up to the hype, I was about to find out. The journey to the full moon party did not exactly get a rare occurrence. I checked in, found my ferry details, discovered I would been operating on completely the wrong schedule. The boat was not leaving for several hours, so there I was, bags packed, ready to go, nowhere to be. Thailand had once again reminded me that making plans is often little more than a polite suggestion. Thankfully, there was somewhere to leave my luggage. So, rather than sitting around staring at the sea for the next few hours, I decided to make the most of it. A short walk from the pier, I found a beach club overlooking the water. The sort of place where people looked far more relaxed than I felt. Sun loungers, cocktails, bikinis, holiday mode fully activated. I ordered some lunch and found a seat overlooking the sea and good view of the pool. Plenty of eye candy, adding to my already great views. Being totally honest, I was not entirely sure what to expect from the full moon party. I would heard all the stories and watched some videos about it. The world-famous full moon beach party. Thousands of people, buckets of alcohol, absolute madness. But part of me suspected it might be overhyped. One of those things people tell you that you have to experience at least once. Whether that is actually true or not remained to be seen. As I sat there eating, I watched people coming and going from the pier. Backpackers, couples, groups of friends. Many of them were heading to exactly the same place as me. The difference was, they all looked far more enthusiastic about it. I was still somewhere between curiosity and mild skepticism. The truth is, I would come this far. I might as well see what all the fuss was about. My intuition was already telling me that it probably was not going to be some life-changing experience. But then again, Thailand has a habit of proving me wrong. Eventually it was time to head back to the pier. Crowds had grown, the queues were getting longer, and suddenly it felt like something was actually happening. People were loading bags, collecting tickets, finding their boats. The atmosphere was starting to build. For long I was climbing aboard a speedboat packed with people, heading for the same destination. As the engines fired up and Koh Samui began disappearing behind us, I found myself wondering what the next couple of days would bring. If you are enjoying the journey so far, hit the like button. It costs you nothing and helps convince YouTube that my life choices are worth documenting. Ahead lay Phangan, full moon party. One of the main reasons I would travel halfway around the world in the first place. Whether it would live up to the hype, I was about to find out. Until the next time.
Welcome to Nightlife Travels.